Hi, this is a fun study we're going to do, but it's just for you scientists. And it is based in the first chapter of AHleleUW-YAH, which is the original book of the 77 books eventually that will make up the full Bible, or Biblia, books of Yah. And but it talks about that there are 7 types of energies, and these are eternal energies. These energies will be with us for all time. Now, no other scriptures that I know of even begins to get as scientific as the Ross text does. But when I first read that, I didn't realize there were 7 types of energies. But since then, I've studied and I've consulted with a number of physicists, and they've assured me that that is exactly right. The only problem is that they didn't know that themselves until just a few years ago. Well, there are amazing complexities in these 7 energies. But I just want to name them for you, so if you're a scientist, you can enjoy studying about them. And it's one of the things that endears and helps me to know that the Ross text is indeed from God, and it's supernatural. Number one is light itself. Is without light, there's no life, and it's the first thing in the Ross text that God creates, except he calls it a hobby hour. Hour is the light, but a hobby is love. So he calls it a love light, that it's the source of all of our creation. Everything you see here behind me is here because of a love light. The gold and the green and the blue and the gray. Yahuwah didn't have to make it so spectacular, but he did. And all of those are properties of light. Now, actually, within light itself are 7 properties, but we're going to save that for another inquiry. Second of all, after light is gravity. If you don't have gravity, we go flinging off this world as it spins around this Earth. We'd be flung off into space, a long way actually, because this world is spinning at 24,000 miles an hour. A day, which means 1,000 miles an hour. At 1,000 miles an hour, you're gone. But that's why it takes 24 hours for the Earth to make a complete cycle, to spin in its orbit, and that's what gives us our days. So gravity is very special. I actually have a friend who is the only Yahuwah I know in Japan, which actually was called Japan, which means the face of Yah. Very interesting. In fact, on the Emperor's Sword in Yadi language, it talks about the 12 tribes of Yasharel. And it does so not in Hebrew, not in Aramaic, but in the original language of our God, called Yadi. After Abraham, it was called Abraham, which means the family of Abraham that worships Yahweh. Well, all right, so gravity is very powerful, and my friend who I haven't met yet, but I look forward to it, in Japan, they are leading the world in learning how to control atomic fusion. All of the nuclear reactions we have on the Earth are fission, and they're quite dangerous in the sense that their fuel is never spent. It's always radioactive, and you got to have some place to put all that radiation. And if it gets in the groundwater, it's going to cause cancers, and so it's a big problem. Now, fusion is what the sun works off of. That's when 2 hydrogen atoms fuse together and form a helium atom. And it gives off an enormous energy, such as we see from the sun, and which you see bouncing off of the trees behind me. Well, it's a very powerful source. If my friend ever finds out how to actually harness it, then what costs $1 today in electricity will cost 1 penny. It will be an enormous advancement in providing energy for our entire world. All right, number 3, after gravity, is what we call centrifugal force. Centrifugal force is what keeps the Earth from crashing into the sun. It's what keeps the moon from crashing into the earth. You can illustrate it by putting a ball on a tennis ball on a piece of twine, and then you start, and it'll go from standing still to almost perpendicular. That's called centrifugal force. And the balance between centrifugal force and gravity is what makes life possible in our universe. All right, number 4, after centrifugal force, is a force that we don't know a lot about yet, but we're studying it. Magnetism. It appears that magnetism is an eternal force. Now, we can describe magnetism. In fact, the Earth has a magnetic pole, and it has a lot to do with our weather. But we're just now coming to really explore all the uses of magnets. Magnets are the source of electricity as we know it today. A generator uses magnets to generate electricity. And so magnets are the core for one of the essential parts of our modern life. It is very, very important to our way of life. Now, we barbarians are very active in the Green Revolution. We believe in a pollution-free Earth. And so we're very active in things like electric cars and electric trucks, electric tractors. In fact, we like everything electric. Get rid of burning fossil fuels because they destroy and pollute our atmosphere. A certain amount our atmosphere can contain and can deal with. But the amount that we're putting into the air right now is way too much. And the Earth needs time to heal from all of that pollution. In China, in fact, today, 1 out of every 3 Chinese that dies from air pollution because they've ignored the laws of God for so long. Now they're finding out they've polluted their entire country. Huge sections of it in their cities are like death traps. Many people are not even living to 40 years old in their cities. So what they've had to do is, and we're going to be working with them on that because part of our job is get the garbage, get the pollution out of the world, out of God's world. It's one of the fundamental principles that God gives us in His Adamic words. There are 7 of those, but one of them is to take care of the earth, preserve it, to keep it clean. It's another reason why we Yahdi are very much against nuclear weapons of any kind. And part of a major platform of our political agenda here in the United States of America is destroy all nuclear weapons. It's the first thing we're going to do. Get rid of those. How can America ask other countries to if we hadn't done it ourselves? And we have more nuclear weapons than the rest of the world put together. So we need to get rid of nuclear weapons, carte blanche. Because here's the thing. I know people say, well, what happens if somebody attacks us with nuclear weapons? We're going to die. But you know they're going to die too. In fact, the whole world's going to die. That's why there is no winners with nuclear warfare and nuclear weapons. They are simply too dangerous for any nation to have. I don't care how moral they are, how responsible they are. Look, America is a responsible nation, supposedly, and we've exploded, the reports are, over 1,000 nuclear tests. There's still islands. There's still places under the sea where they were secret experiments on nuclear weapons, and they're going to be contaminated for at least another 1,000 years, some 10,000, maybe 100,000. So we in America have been the greatest sinners in this. Now we need to lead in making it right. But we can't ask other nations to destroy their nuclear weapons until we do ours. And in fact, we're not just going to ask. We're going to say, in this one area, it's a one-world deal. We're all in the same boat. Get rid of them. We'll be polite about it the first time. If you don't destroy your nuclear weapons, then we're going to find a way to force you to. Because no one should have the right to destroy our families and our children and their future forever. Nobody should have that right. And if we barbarians don't do it, listen, the world is going to be filled with some tyrants one day who are going to destroy it. So please come and help us, support us. You may not like a lot of some of the things we say. We are radicals about many things, like keeping the earth clean and keeping the water and all of that stuff. I know there's some that say, "Oh, y'all a bunch of tree huggers." Yes, we are tree huggers. I love trees. I do hug them, But I also believe in protecting the future for our children. Well, the other forces that are so important to us is fusion, and that's what the sun operates off of. And we are, with our brother in Japan, looking at the only thing that can control nuclear fusion. I'm not going to tell you what it is right now because he's working on it, but it does seem to work. And if we can get nuclear fusion in a peaceful and safe way working for us, we simply will make electricity about the cost of 1% of what it is today. The other two that are remaining are the strong and weak force, that are subatomic particle forces that, again, are very strong. We don't know a whole lot about them. They break down into actually 7 other particles, miniature particles, called such things as a psi particle, epsilon particle, the upside down, right side up particle. There's many different names for them. We're still exploring how all these little subatomic particles, how they all work. But what's interesting is that there are 7 parts of the basic atom, all assigned back to their creator. He made us. Be blessed. Be thankful today that Yahuwah gave you 7 types of energies in which you live and move and have your being. Have you praised him for it? This is Rafa. Be blessed.